lots of ways to work with these products, and it could be that what it's doing for you now isn't going to serve you well going forward. It is time for an insurance review. Take a look at everything that you've got. Is it still the right thing for us? Get it some professional help if needed, and just say, is every dollar I'm spending here going to the right spot? Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the fifth episode of the Prairie Fire Podcast. We're excited to have you all here today. At Prairie Fire, we try to burn away the old and make room for the new, just like the metaphor of a prairie fire. And so today we're going to be talking about unveiling some of the blind spots that we bring into the second half of our lives, primarily in our financial life. In a lot of cases, we have been spending time taking care of our families and taking care of our children, or maybe our parents, whatever the case may be. And as life changes, it's time for maybe some new ideas and start thinking about bringing some of the things that you've been looking forward to forward into your life. And so today I want to discuss 5 blind spots to consider. It's almost like we always go to the restaurant and order the same thing. We like the rigatoni, and every time we go to this restaurant, we always get the rigatoni. But whenever we do that, we're missing out on what else could be there. Perhaps the lasagna is outstanding, and we'll never know it because we never try it. And so when we get into this stage of life where we've been raising kids and living life very frantically, we can sometimes forget that maybe there's something else out there, other opportunities and things to try. And so, like I said, our lives have been focused on parenting, becoming empty nesters, or just being empty nesters. And life has always been more or less about others. And that's amazing work. That is the time in our life when we're here to do that, to give back. And so now the same thing can happen in the second half of life. By no means am I saying we should quit giving. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of skills and dreams and things that maybe haven't been utilized like they could have in your life. And now it's a time to open and expand our opportunities, both on the financial and the emotional sides. So, all right, let's kick it off here. One of the first things I want to talk about, which don't turn it off just because I'm using the word taxes, but it's considering how taxes are impacting your finances, especially after the kids leave the nest. And so it can be very surprising to find out once the kids are no longer dependents on your tax returns, now that we have the higher standard deduction on taxes. All of these kind of things can really need some professional input and a fresh look after the kids leave, because eventually they're not going to be a dependent on your return any longer. There may have been deductions you've been taking while they were around. There could be things like student loan interest or other things that you were utilizing that no longer are possible. And taxes have changed a lot. They always do. They probably always will. They always have, in my experience as a planner. And so it's a good time to take a fresh look. If you don't use a CPA, maybe this is the time to try that. See if you can get some professional advice on how you should be maximizing your tax opportunities. The other thing is the location of your investments. In many cases, you may have investments that would be more suitable inside of a Roth IRA rather than a traditional taxable joint account. So we call this asset location, and making sure that at this stage in life where everything may be scattered around, you've been depleting the 529 plans for the kids, you've been using the minor savings for them, and now you've got your own investment accounts scattered around different 401k plans, or like I said, Roth IRAs or 401ks. Maybe it's time to have somebody take a look at, are all these investments doing what they're supposed to? And are they doing it in the most tax-friendly manner? Because in many cases, let's say you have a lot of mutual funds inside of an account that is taxable on an annual basis. Well, those funds will distribute capital gains, and you don't really have much control over how much those come out. Whereas individual stocks or exchange traded funds, you can have some control as the tax treatment of those based on when you may sell those, particularly if it's been over a year and you can utilize the long-term capital gains rate. So once kids have left, once we're empty nesters, taxes and tax planning can really be a great thing to dust off and give you a chance to save a lot of money, perhaps, on how much you're paying in taxes. And I've never met anybody that wouldn't like paying a little bit less in taxes. So, all right. So second thing then, and second area of blind spots is many cases usually the budget. And so traditionally, you've probably been budgeting as a parent rather than, say, an empty nester. And so when you're looking at the budget after the kids leave, there's a lot of things you may have been spending money on that you won't be any longer. Let's start with front and center, especially if you have sons, food. So the ability of my 2 sons to inhale calories blew my mind. It still does from time to time, even though they're in their 20s now. But the food budget is something that will definitely change if you're not supplying food for your children any longer. And so that money could then perhaps be deployed in other areas like travel or things that you've wanted to do. The other things that will probably change in your budget are things like cars and how much you're spending on automobiles for the kids and for the rest of the family. Insurance, how much we're insuring, especially you talk about the two boys I had, the insurance costs of insuring their cars was crazy. And we all know as they get older, that cost is going to go away. So budgeting as an empty nester now may give you a chance to reevaluate areas that you can spend some more funds on things that you've been wanting to do or causes that you care about. Again, it's not about stopping the giving process. It's more about reevaluating what things can be freshened up a little bit and what things are we not going to be burdened with perhaps that we were earlier. This stage in life can be incredibly exciting. I think it's really fun. You're getting a chance to make new friends, try new experiences. And so just taking a look at where is our money going with all of these apps now, with the banking apps and things where you can really see where funds are going out of your budget, it might be a good time to reevaluate to say, I really want to make this a bigger priority in our life right now. And like I said, that could be travel, that could be starting a nonprofit, that could be doing something that you've been dreaming of doing as a side hustle, whatever the case may be, saving more money so you can change your career plans. All of those sort of things are on the table now. And so taking some time to reevaluate that budget as an empty nester, we think is good work. The other things that I see a lot of folks do is they continue to be waiting for something. And in many cases, this is a vacation. When the kids leave, when you have a chance to reevaluate where all the funds are going, I mentioned travel, but it can be very easy to always say someday, that we will someday do something like this, or we will someday take that big vacation. And I am completely guilty of this. For years, I said to Lisa that I wanted to go to Ireland. And she's like, Matt, let's just do it. Let's plan on it. Well, kids were happening, other vacations. We were having vacations a lot with them as they got older and were in college. And then COVID hit. So there's just a lot of reasons to wait. And we had a few friends, unfortunately, fall ill over the last number of years. We've seen declines with our parents. And we just looked each other in the eye over the last year and said, what are we waiting for? We can wait forever or we can execute. And so it was this year that we finally took our dream trip to Ireland. And so this is a picture of a castle that we saw there, the cities, the people, just breathing in new life and new experiences and new cultures was amazing. And to hear about what they think of America and what they think of Americans. They had plenty to say about our political system, as you can probably imagine, as most people in the world do, what a train wreck it's become. And it was good to hear that it's not just us. As I saw their political system and the way the European Union works, all of it, it expanded my horizons. It makes me feel like I'm more appreciative of America, and I'm also more appreciative of other cultures and what they're going through and ways they're trying to solve their problems. Because across the world, well, you see it. They all have different problems, but they're all trying to solve them in different ways with different economic models and different ways to handle taxes. Anyway, no reason to wait forever. If you can bring that dream forward by saving now, by developing a plan for where can we get to the cost, how can we save money on that? There's so many ways to save money on trips and shop around for things now with the internet and with artificial intelligence that you can find ways to make those trips and those dreams, those vacations come true in a little bit easier fashion. So just something to think about. Could be a blind spot. Maybe there's no reason to wait any longer. The next one is paying a lot on these life insurance policies. So many of us, when we're younger, will buy these permanent life insurance policies, whether it's a universal life policy or a whole life. We put a lot of money into these over the years. The insurance costs are lower when we're younger, and then they slowly get higher as we get older. As the kids begin to leave, as you get into second half of life, it may be that life insurance in particular isn't the biggest thing that you need to insure any longer. We've seen property and casualty insurance, homeowners, liability all go up crazy the last number of years. This is a good time to figure out if there's other parts of your insurance package maybe where you can save some money. So what I'm seeing frequently is a lot of folks will have cash value built up in these life insurance policies. They may need to still insure their income in some way for their spouse, but in many cases they don't need to insure their children any longer. And so having a lot of cost, a lot of your insurance dollar going towards just life insurance may not be appropriate any longer. It could be that using that money for long-term care or deploying it into something where you can save it without all the life insurance costs would be a possibility. Everybody's situation is very personal here, and it's not going to work for everyone. But in many cases, these big premiums that are going in to something that you don't need any longer could be a good blind, or it could be a blind spot that maybe could deserve a little bit of attention. I've seen this in the last number of years in practice, where folks have brought us life insurance policies. The kids are grown, completely financially independent, and there's maybe concern about long-term care. In some cases, you can use these cash values for something like that. You can convert a portion of it. There's a lot of ways to renegotiate and re-engineer some of those policy dollars. Many of those plans have provisions for you can take out tax-free loans on the policy. Lots of ways to work with these products, and it could be that what it's doing for you now isn't going to serve you well going forward. It is time for an insurance review. Take a look at everything that you've got. Is it still the right thing for us? Get it some professional help if needed, and just say, is every dollar I'm spending here going to the right spot? It's almost like the subscriptions that go on today. You check your Apple subscriptions or whoever you work with, and you see all these subscriptions coming through, and you're like, I forgot I had that $60 a month going to that fitness app that I haven't looked at in 2 years. This is the same thing. It just deserves a second look, especially now that things have changed. All right. The last thing, I always call it off the county. This might be an Iowa thing where we say we want to get our kids off the county. And so this, of course, for many of us is a dream more than it is a reality. Or we can believe we can get our kids off the county, but in practice, it's more difficult. Cell phones, medical insurance, all these kind of things, they tend to linger where the kids stay on for a number of years. I'm not telling anybody what to do here. What I'm saying is that there's a time when it comes when we're supporting our kids when they no longer need it, and it just has become inertia. So financially, we're supporting them in ways that they don't need us to anymore, or maybe we're not actually helping them adult by supporting them in ways that they could actually handle on their own. I find this is better to think of as a process than an event. So every few months, take a look at where are we still supporting the kids? Are they still on our Netflix account? Are they still on our cell phone bill? Can they get their own insurance through their employer now? All these kind of questions. So this gives them a chance to learn how these things work, how to pay for them, to prioritize is the big one. Do you really need Netflix and Max, or can you live with just Netflix? Do you need Apple Music and Spotify and Pandora? All of these different things where if they have to pay for them on their own, it can teach them the lesson of perhaps this isn't all needed the way that I thought it was. So this is a topic we could cover just alone by itself because it's so broad and there's so many areas that our kids depend on us. Emotionally, definitely still need us, still need to us as parents, as resources in their life, more as mentors now than as disciplinarians and dictators. But having them find ways to support themselves will give them that confidence that they can do that they can make it out there on their own, and it frees us up to be able to do more of make the most of our second half of life. So yeah, it's a good time in this stage of the game, no matter where you're at. If you're just getting ready to launch kids, or if they've launched and you're beginning to re-engineer life a little bit, or if you're already living in an empty nest. Those are the folks that we work with frequently as they're going through these type of transitions. And so taking a fresh look, looking at something new, maybe applying that Prairie Fire concept to your parental money habits can be a good thing. So yeah, so like Lisa and I's trip to Ireland, this time in life is about bringing dreams forward. Budgeting, investing, and developing a real financial plan with you at the center is a great time. It's a great time to do that. And we think it's an important time where you can make the most of what we think is one of the most exciting periods of life. So if you'd like to learn more, you can always check out my book, Empty Nest, Full Pockets. I talk a lot about helping kids launch as well as developing a plan for yourself that balances what's best for them with what's best for you. And some of these concepts are in there as well. If you'd like to be added to our email list, please shoot us a note at info@pfwplanning.com. We do a weekly newsletter with updates to the podcast and also our monthly webinars, which are usually educational topics around these sort of things as well. So thank you so much for joining us here today. Please don't forget to subscribe and check us out on YouTube too. Thanks.